everybody, it's me, Jenny, and this is probably as festive as it's gonna get today. But hold on a second, I need to go get myself a cup of tea because that will put me into the right holiday spirit. Much better. We're counting down the days to Christmas, and today I'm going to present to you my little holiday book gift guide. It's a very small one, but I took a lot of care picking out the books that I wanted to show to you. And you know, this thing right here, this little box, this video thing, basically what I'm doing here right now is pushing books vicariously. I'm hoping I can push it onto you so you can push it onto your family or friends and just make them read it, because that's all we're about here, you know? Read it, read it, read it. The first book that I'm gonna present to you goes out to the internet people, which means this generation or younger. It goes out to the internet fangirls. And I have loved this book. I know that it's not everybody's taste. This is the book which I would give to someone who spends a significant time on the internet. Not playing Dota, not looking at 9gag, but, you know, somebody who is really into TV shows, who's really into Tumblr, who's really into reading. This is the deal. Trust me, it's funny, it's sweet, and it's eerily accurate, and it makes you laugh, and it has a lot of pop cultural references in it. I love Rowell. I think I haven't said it in a couple videos, so that's why I just had to say it right now. And this book is a pretty dead-on representation for the Generation Y fangirl. And so buy it, read it, and this is the special UK edition. It's a beautiful, it's pink. I know it makes it very girly, but it's a very nice and bright kind of pink. It's beautiful. Mwah! I don't know why I just kissed you. The next book is a book that you should get for your fantasy buff friend, and it's The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Now, seeing that you're watching this video, you probably have already heard Brandon Sanderson up and down the aisle. Why do I recommend The Way of Kings? Because I think it's one of the books that not a lot of people have picked up yet. This is one of the more recent epic fantasy series. This book came out in 2010. The second book came out recently, I think either last year or this year. And this is gonna be huge and massive. Firstly, there's only 2 books out, so it's pretty easy to catch up, you know? I personally find it a little bit demotivating. Like, Wheel of Time, heard amazing things about it. It's ginormous, it's incredibly long. It kind of puts a damper on my motivation, but this, 2 books, and still going, awesome. Jump right in, catch up, be on the bandwagon. The thing that I love about Brandon Sanderson the most is that he has a way of writing very intriguing and complex characters and plotline using very simple narrative, a very understandable narrative. So this will not absolutely break your brain while you're reading this. The next book is a book that I would recommend for a person who doesn't necessarily like reading, but they might like reading this book, and it's Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It's set in a near future with virtual reality video games and a treasure hunt. It just sucks you right in. I think this is equally interesting for people who are older. I think definitely for someone who has been in contact with video games, either, you know, whether they're like in their 40s or something, maybe not somebody who has like not a lot of concept on what modern technology and video games have to offer. So maybe geared towards someone who was young from like the 80s and upwards, but definitely not something that's just geared towards young adults. You don't need to be nerdy and geeky to enjoy this book. It certainly helps. It certainly helps you to geek out while reading it, but I think even people who just have a very vague concept of video games would still appreciate it. It grabs you and sucks you in and takes you on this adventure, this ride, this quest, which in the end doesn't just leave you happy and satisfied, but also a little bit thoughtful. Because the themes in this book, they actually hit certain topics, which I do see as a certain possibility for the future. This one is for the people who like science fiction. I think science fiction has had a little bit of a resurgence since the release of Interstellar, but this one is The Martian. I'm currently reading this book. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and I'm really enjoying this. This is a little bit more science and a little bit less fiction. This whole entire book, it's a very well-written novel, but it basically shows you the science in science fiction. It's about a guy who gets stuck on Mars and he has to survive and hope that somebody will come and rescue him. So it's a little bit of a castaway story. Not that much Robinson Crusoe, not that much cannibalism, not that much slavery because he's the only guy on Mars. But he is a scientist, he's an engineer, and he's very resourceful. It's about resilience and perseverance. I know that I'm not gonna be able to sell this book if I tell you there's a lot of chemistry and physics in this book, but this is what actually makes this book interesting. This guy, for example, he's basically running out of water, but he has a ton of rocket fuel, so he has to somehow make it chemically react in order to create some H2O. This book takes Man vs. Wild to a whole new level. And the last book that I'm gonna recommend to you today, and how can I not recommend it to you, is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I read this at the beginning of the year and I fell in love with it, and I just forced a lot of people to read it. Whenever I see someone on Goodreads reading this book, or whenever I see someone on YouTube talking about this book, I comment, I like, I geek out, I'm basically like, read it, read it, read it, and then people are like, yeah, I'm gonna read it, and then they don't read it. It makes me so disappointed because I love this book. This is historical fiction set in World War II, but it's not just for people who love historical fiction. It's just for people who love beautifully constructed stories, beautifully written stories, beautifully told stories. And it follows two characters, a young boy and a young girl, where they're growing up during the war. Do you know how disappointed I was when I finished this book? Because I was like, there you go, this is gonna be the favorite book of the year and it's only May. Buy this book for a friend or a family, make them read it. You won't regret it. Read it yourself, please. My baby. I love you so much. These were my holiday book recommendations. I hope you found something that you might want to buy a family member or a friend, or maybe something that you would want to add to your wish list. These were all some of my favorite books of this year and last year. And happy holidays! Bye! Aren't you just adorable? Okay, this is getting really weird right now.